the most significant Jonathan Kuminga update yet. Some dominoes are about to fall, and you're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith. Earlier on Thursday, we got the news that Cam Thomas, he made a decision for himself. Charania reporting that restricted free agent Cam Thomas is signing a one-year, $6 million qualifying offer to return to the Brooklyn Nets, according to sources. Size were unable to reach a deal as the qualifying offer gives Thomas a full no-trade clause and 2026 unrestricted free agency with 10-plus cap space teams. He's betting on himself, but is it the best decision for him? And would it be the best decision for Jonathan Kuminga, who we know is threatening the same thing? We're going to break everything down in just a moment, but I was getting some smack talk to me earlier today in the Chat Sports offices by Heat Report host Nick Roloff. I think he's still salty about the Jimmy Butler trade and losing his guy. He said we couldn't get 500 likes on today's video, so my challenge to Dub Nation is to prove him wrong. Go down below and smash that thumbs up icon so we can show Nick Roloff that he's just a salty guy. All right, Shams with the quote here. More on the decision-making from Cam Thomas and his representatives. Thomas's representatives Ron Shade and Alex Saratsis of Octagon discussed several frameworks of deals, apologies for that name butchering there, with the Nets, but ultimately declined Brooklyn's offers of 2 years and $30 million with a team option for the second season, or 1 year and $9.5 million with incentives up to $11 million while waiving his no-trade clause. Situation seems eerily similar to one I know and maybe have made over 100 videos about at this point. Yeah, the situation that the Warriors are facing with Jonathan Kuminga here, the Nets kind of playing hardball with Cam Thomas and his reps, offering up these deals where they gives the team a lot of control and deciding where the next landing spot for these players could be, and these players are really not having it here. We know Jonathan Kuminga is doing the same damn thing. The rumor for Cam Thomas as well is he was asking for a longer-term deal and a lot more money annually. He was looking for a deal at least in excess of $30 million a season because I remember it was the players such as Jalen Green and Emmanuel Quickly who Cam Thomas was using as a reference point for what he deserves on his next extension. Clearly, those decisions made by the teams that gave out those contracts were not that great. And that doesn't mean that the Brooklyn Nets have to go out there and give Cam Thomas a deal that he really doesn't deserve, and one that would be detrimental to the team. Now, more from Charania here on Thomas' situation. Thomas will become an unrestricted free agent in 2026 by accepting his qualifying offer. He has veto rights on trades throughout the season. That's what a no-trade clause gives you. But accepting a trade would eliminate his bird rights and give him a non-bird with his new team. That means his new team could only give him a $7.2 million starting salary, which is a 120% raise. Okay, so basically, Cam Thomas is making little to no money at this point, relative in the NBA. Relative to the NBA, I would die for $6 million. Let me just tell you that right now. But he's playing for little to no money on this current deal, 1 year, and he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. And that essentially makes him untradeable, given, he's a really good player, right? He averages 20 points per game, but you're not going to trade that when he's making $6 million. It's too good of a value to you. But teams are now not going to even want to trade for that good of a value when he doesn't have bird rights for his impending free agency. It would make no point in a team making a trade for Cam Thomas that he would want to go to, because the only team that he would want to go to, and this all relates with Jonathan Kuminga as well, it's the same thought process. Any team that he would want to go to, he would want to extend with that team and kind of get a head start on being the focal point of that roster for the foreseeable future. So there's no real way that Cam Thomas gets traded at this point. If Jonathan Kuminga accepts this similar sort of scenario, then there's going to be no trade that's to be had for Kuminga, and the Warriors will lose him for nothing. The remaining restricted free agents that are out there, aside from Kuminga, after the Cam Thomas debacle has been settled, Josh Giddey and Quentin Grimes. Now, these two players are really not facing the same type of ultimatum that Kuminga and Cam Thomas are facing. Both teams that have these two guys on restricted free agent tenders, the Bulls with Josh Giddey and the Sixers with Quentin Grimes, are both fairly confident that they're going to get multi-year deals done with these respective free agents, and they're not going to end up accepting the qualifying offer. Historically, accepting the qualifying offer is a really, really bad decision, with guys having an uncertain role and responsibility that following 1 year prove-it season, and then at the same time, a lot of those guys end up actually getting hurt in those years, completely tanking their free agent market the following year. So it makes no sense to accept the qualifying offer. But when it's a one-year deal either way, that's kind of what Kuminga and now Thomas has already done to really control their future. The current options for Jonathan Kuminga as it stands right now, the Warriors have the two-year, $45 million a year offer out there standing, and they're really not moving off of it. It's not really a 2-year, $45 million deal, though, when you consider the fact that it's a team option in the second year. None of that money is guaranteed, and what this deal would carry with it is a no-trade clause, kind of similar to that offer that Cam Thomas had, but the Warriors, in their part of the agreement, would make Kuminga waive that no-trade clause. They would have the ability to give him away to another team, but they'd be giving him way more money than he would accept on the qualifying offer here. It would be a $13 million difference compared to only a $4 million difference with Cam Thomas and his decision, his qualifying offer with the Nets, and the offer that he had of about $14 million. I think it actually ended up being $8 million on that deal, but Kuminga's would be upwards of $14 million if he were to decline the Warriors' offer and accept the qualifying. But that would give him the no-trade clause, and that seems to be what he cares about a lot at this point. The Warriors could always adjust their offer, but that is not looking super likely at this point, as Brett Siegel is reporting the following. There haven't been any indications suggesting that the Warriors are thinking of changing their offer, and unless they do so over the course of the next week, Kuminga is prepared to end talks and accept his qualifying offer. At the end of the day, Kuminga wants to feel valued, and the Warriors haven't given him ample reasons to want to stay. Clock's ticking. We're officially on a timeline now. We were always on a timeline when it comes to the qualifying offer deadline being the case. October 1st is the last day that both these sides can play chicken, and Kuminga can end up just signing the qualifying offer. But now we have precedent. Now we have a guy taking the qualifying offer, making that decision for himself. You think Cam Thomas isn't talking to Jonathan Kuminga? You think these players aren't conversing at all? You'd be naive to think that. So now we're on a timeline. And according to Brett Siegel, who has been all over this situation all summer long, it's now on a week. It's a week away from Jonathan Kuminga just cutting the cord and dooming the Golden State Warriors. Will Jonathan Kuminga accept the qualifying offer? Yes or no? Sound off in the comment section with what you guys think. Is this the biggest bluff in the history of bluffs? Or is Jonathan Kuminga going to follow Cam Thomas and make the Warriors and put them in a really bad spot? Yes or no? Let me know in the comment section. I'll tell you why this is doomsday for Golden State in just a moment. This is actually going to be a monumental malpractice from the front office here in the Bay Area. We'll tell you why in just a moment. But first, get hooked up with this awesome deal at this link right here, chatsports.com/dubcity. This City Edition long sleeve from Nike is fresh. I love the colorway, and they're going to drop a new one soon because they know that they love churning out jerseys every single year. So I like this colorway a lot. It's got the red poppin', the navy, and the yellow. I'm going to get myself one for the upcoming watch parties this season. You can too, and it's on a discount. $35. Chatsports.com/dubcity. That link's in the comment section and description of today's video. There is no bigger culprit in this mess than you. You, Joe Lacob. You are the reason that we are in the position that we are in right now. You are the reason that the Warriors are the only team that has not made a move in the 2025 NBA offseason. It is actually laughable, the amount of control this guy has over his basketball team. There's a lot of hands-off owners in the NBA. Joe Lacob is not one of them, clearly. Jonathan Kuminga has been invested in. Yes, he was taken with the 7th overall pick. By the way, Joe Lacob and his son Kirk were very instrumental in selecting Jonathan Kuminga in that 2021 NBA draft when there were guys like Franz Wagner on the board. Nope. We decided to go with Kuminga. And they've invested in him heavily ever since. They've held him out of trade conversations multiple times with many different players. And you could say at the time they were making the right decision. You know, Kuminga is untapped, right? He's uber athletic, can jump out of the gym, can make plays, can score the basketball in a lot of different ways. And, you know, he provides a lot of upside. But in between the ears, as far as, you know, buying into the system, defensive IQ, he falls flat in a lot of different areas. And it's objective. We don't have to argue over this anymore in the comment section. It is objective that Jonathan Kuminga is not a locked-in defender and should be a way better defender given the athletic frame and profile. It's not the case. And Joe Lacob has failed to see that he is not on the trajectory of a blossoming player and somebody that can complement the talent that he already has staring him in the face in his trophy room that has 4 NBA titles in the last decade. You are the reason, Joe Lacob. You are the reason why we're in this position, because he held him out of trade conversations for Paul George. And I'm not going to say that trading for Paul George would have worked out for Golden State, because maybe, who knows? They probably wouldn't have been able to trade for Jimmy Butler. And look, that probably would have been a miss. But at the time, Paul George was one of the most sought-after free agents on the market. Maybe he was number one that offseason. And yes, he got injured. Who's to say that would have happened in Golden State? Who's to say the recovery wouldn't have been better with Rick Celebrini and company on the Warriors training staff? Like, you never know how the dominoes would have fell with Paul George. Looking back in hindsight, I'll give you guys that one. Holding out Kuminga in a Paul George trade, sure, I'll give it to you. It was the right decision. Lauri Markkanen, wrong decision. Pascal Siakam, if that was true, that was heavily rumored to be the case, that Siakam, obviously, he wasn't going to, the rumor was that Siakam was going to sign an extension with Golden State, and they held Kuminga out of trade talks over there as well. Lauri Markkanen, that's damn confirmed. That's confirmed he held him out. Could you imagine a 7-foot demigod playing on what do you make, like $17 million a year this year? Playing with Steph and all them? It's unbelievable to fathom that. You would have still been able to make the Jimmy Butler trade if you traded Lauri Markkanen. You literally gave up Andrew Wiggins and Dennis Schroeder and able to make the Jimmy Butler trade happen. Like, it's unreal. You could have Lauri Markkanen on this team for the years to come. It's whatever. Joe Lacob, you win. But now your biggest fear comes true. The number one thing that the Warriors were trying to accomplish throughout these last 2 years, when holding out Jonathan Kuminga of trade talks, they didn't want to lose guys. They didn't want guys. A lot of the targets that they had in the trade market, they were on one-year deals, and you didn't want to lose them for nothing. But now you are going to lose him for nothing, because he's going to go out there and accept the qualifying offer. I'm believing him now. I was on the fence. I was on the Warriors side of calling the bluff and all that stuff. No, there's precedent now. Guys are going to do it. Jonathan Kuminga and Cam Thomas are talking. He is going to accept the qualifying offer if the Warriors do not amend their contract. And Joe Lacob is to blame for it. It's unfortunate that the past 2 years, Jonathan Kuminga has been held out of trade talks for players like Paul George, Lauri Markkanen, and Pascal Siakam. And now, after the fear of losing it for nothing in those trades, you're going to lose it for nothing in free agency and literally get nothing back for him. Even though you've been trying to trade him all offseason, been no market for him, according to you. You've been trying to make him a role player when he thinks he's an all-star. There is so much wrong with the situation. I'm just kind of thankful that we're near the end of it at this point. I'm honestly unsure that when Kuminga comes back, that what this will mean for his role if he does accept the qualifying offer. That is definitely something of note, because there's no telling what Steve Kerr is going to do. Steve Kerr has never really had an affinity for Kuminga in his lineup. He thinks it's a square peg in a round hole, and that's the right analogy there. And he won't really feel any pressure to kind of keep his minutes and his role static for Golden State this upcoming season. Why would he feel the need to? It's not Golden State's responsibility now, if he's going to 100% be gone next summer, to cater to Jonathan Kuminga, to make him try to become the all-star and put him on that trajectory that he thinks he could be on. It's not their problem anymore. He's leaving. He doesn't want to be there. He's made that vocal. His representatives have made that vocal. And it's going to continue to be a distraction in the media all season long. So the thing that Steve Kerr would probably be best off doing is not playing Jonathan Kuminga at all. If you accept the qualifying offer, then it is really just doomsday for both the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga at this point. If he goes into business for himself, then that's it. It's going to be a very short leash for Jonathan Kuminga on the basketball court. If he goes into business for himself, looks off Steph again, you can start catching more DMPs. Sit the bench, brother. They don't have any allegiance to you because you don't have any allegiance to them. If you guys want the Jonathan Kuminga saga to just be over, because I've had enough, I'm tired of talking about it, I'm literally exhausted, go down below, hit the thumbs up icon, like today's video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That will do it for today's edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports. We'll be keeping you guys locked in with every single update we get with Jonathan Kuminga as the situation unfolds. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go Dubs.